Welcome dear students. This is the continuation of my cell cycle lecture. In this class I will talk about some regulations during the cell cycle. In my previous class I have mentioned that there are 4 phases of a cell cycle called G1, S, G2 and M phase. And the M phase means mitotic phase can be divided into prophase, metaphase, anaphase and telophase. And there are 3 checkpoints. Checkpoints means when the cells are scrutinized so that whether these cells are ready to go ahead. And there are 3 checkpoints like G1S transitions, G2M transitions and metaphase to anaphase transitions. So they are actually examined, the cells are examined whether they are ready to go ahead. Now there are 2 different molecules is very important for cell cycle called cyclin and cyclin dependent kinase. That name suggests that this protein actually depends on this cyclin. So it is called cyclin dependent kinase. It is an enzyme that can phosphorylate serine or threonine amino acids of a substrate. Now there are different phases, so there are different type of CDK and cyclins are present. If you have not watched my previous video, please watch the video and then you watch this second part of my cell cycle lecture. So I will mention this all proteins in this class. So I am just showing you that there are different type of proteins are there that regulate the activity of CDK. So this is actually very intricate mechanism by which cell cycles are regulated. Now there are some molecules like CAC, V1, CDC25, retinoblastoma, E2F, then there are some inhibitors and some ubiquitin ligase are there. In this class I will show you some regulations during this cell cycle. The first regulation starts with the G1 to S phase transitions. This is the first checkpoint. So I can write here, this is the first checkpoint. So I will start with this checkpoint. How this checkpoint actually pass by the cell. So what happens if there is enough growth factor present in the media or in the cell, growth factor, this growth factor helps in the promotion of CDK4 or CDK6 and cyclin D. If you have watched my previous video, you must know this is nothing but, this 2 complex is nothing but G1 CDK and cyclin, G1 CDK and G1 cyclin. So when there is enough growth factor, that actually this extracellular signals helps in the production of or transcription and translation of these 2 proteins CDK4, CDK6 and cyclin D. That means G1 CDK and G1 cyclin. And now I will show you how these G1S transitions occur. Let's suppose this is a DNA. In this DNA, 2 proteins actually present. One is called E2F, another is retinoblastoma protein that is attached with this E2F protein, retinoblastoma. And what is this gene? The name of the gene is cyclin E or cyclin A. It could be cyclin E or cyclin A. During this G1 phase, the cyclin E gene or the cyclin A gene are captured by E2F and RB, retinoblastoma. This E2F I have mentioned in my first class and RB I have also mentioned in my first class. E2F is a transcription factor and RB actually inhibits this transcription factor. It actually acts as a repressor. How it represses? It actually recruits some HDAC protein, histone deacetylase enzymes that actually deacetylates some lysines or methylates some lysines so that the chromosome actually condensed. And this is very important. Why? Because cyclin E or cyclin A are actually, they are actually G1 or S phase or simply S phase cyclins. These are cyclins. If you watch my previous video, you must know that cyclin E is the G1 phase, G1S phase cyclins and the cyclin A is the S phase cyclin. Okay, so during this G1 phase these proteins cannot be produced, should not produced, because each and every phase only that CDK and cyclins should be present. Then during the G1 phase only CDK4 and CDK6 should be activated and cyclin D should be present, and these two cyclins should not be present at that moment. But after late G1, this G1S cyclin should be produced so that G1S CDK can be activated, because these are the cyclin dependent kinase, and also the S phase cyclin should be produced so that S phase CDK can be activated. But during this G1 phase, this E2F and RB actually associate with each other, and it actually prevent these two products prevent the expression of the gene. Now when there is sufficient growth factor, G1 phase cyclins and CDKs are there enough in level, and in the late G1 phase this cyclin and CDK, G1 CDK and cyclins phosphorylate the retinoblastoma protein. This product, retinoblastoma, is a type of cancer in childhood retina cancer. So when there is some mutations, retinoblastoma can occur. This retinoblastoma, when it gets phosphorylated by G1 CDK, that means CDK4 or CDK6, it actually dissociates from the E2F and actually export out of the nucleus when it is phosphorylated. So when they are phosphorylated at the late G1 phase, they are actually exported out from the nucleus. Now only E2F is present, and we know that E2F is a transcription factor. So E2F will help to produce cyclin E and cyclin A. That means these cyclins can be produced. Now G1 S phase cyclins also produced, that means cyclin E, and S phase cyclin means cyclin A will be produced. That means now this G1 S transition can be passed, because unless G1 cyclin E is produced, it cannot pass the G1 S transitions. So this is the first regulations of cell cycle to pass G1 S transitions, because this G1 S transition or first checkpoint is in case of Saccharomyces cerevisiae, means budding yeast, called start point, and in case of mammalians it is called restriction point, because when a cell cross this line G1S transition, it cannot stop, it must complete the cell cycle. Okay, unless when the cell is in this region, means late G1, but do not cross the G1S, then it can stop. But after it cross the G1S phase, it cannot stop, it must complete the cell cycle. So it is very important. So it's called start or restriction point, and this start actually happens by this G1 CDK. When they are in the late phase, it increases, it actually phosphorylates the RB retinoblastoma so that it can be exported out of the nucleus. So E2F can produce, actually transcribe these two cyclins. Okay, now what happens? This G1 S phase cyclins, means cyclin E, can activate, the cyclin E can activate a CDK molecule that is called CDK2. The CDK2 is actually cyclin dependent kinase 2, means it is the CDK of G1S transition phase or also the S phase. Okay, this is the S phase or G1S transition phase CDK. What is the significance of the CDK2? I will show you in my second regulations. During the late anaphase to late G1, in this period, late anaphase to late G1, late anaphase means here, from here, this region to this region, late anaphase to late G1, there is two molecules that actually perform a function, very important functions. I will show you. The molecule name APC by C and CDH1. I have written in this region of my first class. This is very important two molecules, APC/C and CDH1. These two molecules, when associate with each other, they actually degrade. This is actually ubiquitin ligase in enzyme. They actually, when they associated with each other, these two molecules is associated with each other, then it can perform, then it is active. Then this molecule is active. And this molecule actually helps in the degradation of S-phage and M-phage cyclins. They degrade these cyclins. Why it is important during this late anaphase and late G1 up to this time period? Because this is very important. I have mentioned that during this period, this cyclin should not be produced. Because if it is produced, it can perform its function, but the cell is not ready for the replication, S-phage. And during this movement from anaphase to telophase to the G1, this M-phase cyclin should be degraded, and there should be no S-phase cyclins, because the cells are now ready to just go to the G1 phase. So this APC/C and CDH1 actually degrade these cyclins, but during the after the late G1 phase, this H-phase cyclin should be there for replications. Now what happens? Here the CDK2 play its roles. CDK2 phosphorylate the CDH1, and when the CDH1 gets phosphorylated, it actually dissociates from the APC/C. So this CDH1 cannot actually attach with this APC/C. It will dissociate from the APC/C. When APC/C are not associated with CDH1, it becomes inactive. Now there is no degradation of this S-phage cyclin. So S-phage cyclins will be there. Thus S-phage cyclins like the cyclin A will not be degraded from late G1 phase. And I have mentioned that in the late G1 phase, these cyclins are now producing. You have to actually understand this thing. In the late G1, up to the late G1, these cyclins cannot be produced because there is RB proteins. Now in the late G1, from the late G1, these cyclins are produced. But APC/C is the enemy of these cyclins because it can degrade these cyclins. But up to late G1. After this late G1, the CDK2 phosphorylates this CDH1 so that this can be dissociated from the APC/C. And another molecule I want to mention here is there that actually reverse this process called CDC14. This is actually a phosphatase. This enzyme dephosphorylates all the phosphate group from the CDH2. So in the CDH1, sorry, there is some phosphate group that is added by this CDK2. Now this CDC4 actually dephosphorylates this product, and then the CDH1 can again reassociate with APC/C and can perform its function. So by this way, this is the second regulation. By this way, CDK2 actually prevents the degradation of these S-phage cyclins. Now I will show you another thing, another regulations. That is the third thing. During the late G1 phase, the cyclin A are produced, and also CDK2 are also produced. I have mentioned that CDK2 and cyclin A are called S-phage CDK and cyclin. Yes, you have to understand it. After the late phase, there is cyclin A and there is CDK2 that associate. But in this time, there is another protein that associate with this two molecule called SIC1 or P27. In case of budding yeast, this inhibitor, this is actually inhibitor, we can call it CKI. CDK inhibitor. This SYK1 for Saccharomyces cerevisiae or budding yeast, and in case of mammals or metazoa, the protein is called P27. Now in this situation, this is actually inactive in conformation, inactive. They cannot perform its functions. So up to the late G1, this complex is actually inactive in conditions. But now the player is the G1S phase cyclin and CDK. The G1S phase cyclin are cyclin E that are associated with G1S phase CDK, that is also CDK2. You can see this is the S phase CDK cyclin, this is the G1S phase CDK and cyclin. This molecule actually phosphorylate, actually specifically CDK2 phosphorylate this product, and when this molecule get phosphorylated, a protein called SCF, this is a ubiquitin ligase, that means this protein can ligate ubiquitin. They actually target this phosphorylated product. There is a F means F box, S for SKP1, there is 3 subunit, C for Qulin and F for F box. There is a subunit, this is a subunit that can help in the attachment of ubiquitin. So this protein can be attached with ubiquitin. When ubiquitin attached with this protein, it go through a process called proteasomal degradations, and when these proteins are actually degraded, so there is no inhibitor, then it becomes active, then S phase CDK and cyclin becomes active. So to progress from G1S, there is some regulation between retinoblastoma and E2F that actually performed by G1 CDK. After it crossed the G1S phase, then this should be entered, the cells should be entered in the S phase, and it is performed by the CDK2, because CDK2 prevents APC-C, another ubiquitin ligase, from the degradation of this S phase cyclin, that is cyclin A, and then the cyclin A and CDK2 actually associated with a inhibitor called P27 in case of metazoa, that is actually degraded by this SCF with the help of cyclin E and CDK2. So this is another regulation, some regulation mechanism of cell cycle. In my next classes, I will also describe some regulation of S phase, G1 and M phase. Thank you for watching, and always keep learning.